Hello, I'm Julie Mayhew. I'm going to read from my book Mother Tongue, which is out now. It's about Darya, who is 18 years old, and she is trying to rebuild her life after a tragedy hits her family. And this scene happens in the weeks just after that. One evening that week, Mama laid 6 places at the table. It could have been forgetfulness, that cruel hangover, if she'd ever done this task while Nika was alive, if she'd ever eaten with us at the table before the siege. It was a grand gesture to the dead, I decided, and I would not acknowledge it. Just as I would not comment on the new dress she was wearing, a striking deep blue with purple flowers and a belt that tied around her expanding middle. Mama's figure was filling out now that she was eating properly. Where there were bones, there'd be meat again. But Mama had not made a mistake with the knives and forks. As I mixed together a salad olivier, I heard Papa greeting an unexpected visitor in the hallway. There was hearty laughter that made me stop stirring, my spoon poised in the air. "Dima, my Dima, come in, Papa boomed, and I kept my spoon raised as Dmitry Vasileyev entered the kitchen. I knew him from school, 2 years above me, a wiry boy with an unfortunate lump on the bridge of his very long nose. He worked at Papa's factory. He had no reason to be in our home. "Come in, Dima, come in," said Mama, parroting my father, showily smoothing the skirts of her dress as if she truly wanted the evil eye upon her. Dmitry moved towards me, Mama nodding her encouragement, and he offered out a gift, a packet of sweets tied up with a ribbon. I looked down at his present, at his obscenely long fingers wrapped around the plastic. "For you, Dasha." His voice wobbled. "Put them on the counter, Dmitry Dmitrievich," I replied, using his full and formal name to show that I was above all of this. No Dima would pass my lips. "My hands are greasy from preparing dinner." Mama leapt in to cough away my stiffness, ushering him into a seat. Papa placed a bottle of Fat Man beer in front of the boy, clapping him on the back, congratulating him for the mere act of wearing a clean white shirt well tucked in. "We should set up a table in the living room, Mama," I said, loudly, putting the last skewer of mutton shashlik onto a serving plate, if we have a guest. "Oh, Dima doesn't mind," said my father. "We can treat him exactly like family." The merriment in his voice was unbearable. "I have recently promoted Dima to supervisor on the bottling line," my father went on. Dmitry grinned at the boasting done on his behalf. "Did I tell you that, my Dashanka?" I stared. "No, you didn't, Papa. And why would you ever?" They wanted rid of me. Their strange daughter who disappeared and returned all covered in mud. They had no use for me now that Nika was gone. I opened a bottle of beer and drank down its sourness. The spaces laid for my brothers stayed empty and unmentioned. The boys rarely came back for dinner since starting their army. No matter, when we had a third potential son right there. Fate was dropping its hints about what kind of adult I was going to be, or offering its warnings. In a year or so, the weddings would start happening again. I clung to the picture of myself behind that desk in a good blouse with a small pot of sharpened pencils and a group of worldly wise workmates. But the whole scene was set behind glass. Nothing could happen until the 40th day at least, when mourning was officially over. But even then, was my ambition enough? How would being a secretary ever lift me up and free me from who I was, from where I was? I had no answer. Instead, I drilled my focus into the day-to-day workings of the apartment. I tidied messy corners I had previously ignored. I cleaned things, not so they were serviceable or presentable, but until they sang. I moved with precision, carrying out each chore as if marking my territory. I had to lay claim to something. I fired out threats to those around me with each swirl of the mop. I did this as a show of strength against my brothers, who had become distant and frightening since taking on the role of our protectors. I did it to keep my mother at bay. But more importantly, I did it to prove to my father that I was worthy. I was his one true ally in the house, and he should not give up on me yet.